is Weather or Not.
All right, thanks for popping in for this Wednesday edition of Weather or Not. We've got last week's winter weather in the rearview mirror, perhaps something ahead for next week, and in between, we've got some other weather to talk about, including a little warm up and a bit of rain.
Yeah, a little bit of chill that was certainly around for today, and yeah, a cold night going to be on tap, but generally speaking, into the weekend, some milder weather. Let's go ahead and start with that first alert, shall we? And you'll notice temperatures climbing, and yeah, do I see 60s as we head into the weekend?
60, that is impressive. Heading into the day on Sunday, not only do daytime temperatures show a nice upward trend, but nighttime temperatures as well. Obviously cold tonight as we're back down into the 20s, but notice by the time we get into the weekend, we'll actually have overnight low temperatures barely getting below 50. That'll be a nice change of pace compared to these really cold nights we've had so far this month.
It certainly will be, and unfortunately this is going to be that time of year where we call it the dirty warm-up.
Dirty
warm-up with cloud cover and rain chances. Right now it looks like first part of the day, Saturday, going to be okay, but as we get closer to lunchtime, showers going to start to move in.
Yeah, we'll start to bring in some of those rain chances, especially Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. This isn't a thunderstorm setup. This isn't a heavy rain kind of setup, but I think a good, steady, soaking rain looking increasingly likely here as we head into the back half of the day Saturday.
Yeah, and for the first time too, model agreement coming here where maybe up to an inch of rain, much needed inch of rain for areas along the Grand Strand, closer to half an inch as you go inland, but nonetheless, it's been hard to find some beneficial rain, and I think we'll get that as we go into it. You'll notice by Saturday overnight, the worst of this will push out, but we'll hold on to a few lingering showers as we go into Sunday, and even then, I think that's going to be tougher to budge. The only difference, other than a traditional setup, this cold front's a little delayed. So there's going to be a small window on Sunday where the opportunity of some moisture lingering around certainly exists.
And also an opportunity there ahead of that front on Sunday to get some of that mild air to sneak in here. And for you warm weather fans who are just simply over the cold weather that we've had so far this month, there it is, upper 50s to right around 60 heading into the day on Sunday. I don't think it's a beautiful sunny Sunday. Yes, a couple of showers around and probably going to hold on to a lot of clouds, but maybe a little peekaboo sunshine late in the day Sunday.
And that cold front eventually will pass through as we go into Sunday, which is going to set us up for the season. And why not? Let's go ahead and talk about that winter weather setup. And once again, I think a difference for this one is the cold air is going to be in place as we go into early next week. Cold air comes rushing in, another Arctic blast, but it's always something.
It's always something. Yeah, and it's again somewhat similar to the setup that we had last week, although the magnitude of the cold air coming in next week is a bit more. The potential moisture that we could see next week a bit more as well. The big question is, where does that moisture go? Where does low pressure go? Of course, if we thread that needle and get it perfect, well, yeah, we could be talking about some winter weather around here, but we could also be talking about a cold, dry forecast or a cold rain forecast. We're in that time frame where we're still just looking at the overall pattern.
Yeah, the pattern is right, and keep in mind, we're still watching the data as it's coming in. Data continues to come in every 6 hours or so, and with that, the signal is still there. So we're in a good spot, but we're certainly not enough to call it and say next week's going to be the week. However, for the first time in a long time, the Weather Prediction Center says, hey, we may have a shot.
Yeah, we hadn't seen anything quite this impressive in quite some time. 30% chance of winter weather. They're in those darker shades of blue right through the heart of our area as we head into the Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday time frame of next week. Overall, 30% chance seems pretty low, but we're talking about something potentially a week away, and a 30% chance of wintry weather from the Weather Prediction Center. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, certainly. And if everything were to line up, we would be talking about the winter weather threat for next week. A lot to go. And of course, we're going to unpack it. We'll be the first here in town to let you know of those changes. Let's go ahead and talk about what you need to know as we go into that forecast, especially as we look ahead with the snow potential, but also what happened yesterday. How about in Florida? Okeechobee? Okeechobee, Florida. Right. That sounds good to me. 86 degrees there. We do think it's cold, but look at Willow City.
That's getting on down there. Yeah. That's getting down into the cold range for sure. Minus 33. That's the actual temperature.
There is no
coldest you've ever felt.
With the wind chill.
Nope. Absolute temperature.
Oh, well, that was -2.
-2 in Kentucky.
Yeah, but it was
A
up on the
Kentucky boy.
mountaintop. Yeah.
-2 is it?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it would have been a lot colder than
You
that.
said no wind chill. No, -2.
I've grown up in the Carolinas. I have a -5.
A temperature of -5? No.
In Charlotte, 1983.
No, -2.
Shows how old I am. My coldest, -40. Yellowstone, Montana, 2 years ago.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Calm wind, -40, my lungs hurt.
Oh.
So yeah, 33 below zero up there in North Dakota, and that's a little hint of the colder air that eventually comes in here next week. It's
Yeah.
not going to be 33 below, but it's starting to creep its way across the Canadian border.
And once again, extremes continue for us. We're talking about the extreme cold. There's also an extreme dry pattern that's setting up. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about it. You'll notice once again the wildfires continue to be something that we're watching over there closer to Los Angeles and in California. It is the story. You've probably heard about it. Winds gusting up to 65 to 70 miles per hour. We had those extreme wind warnings still in play yesterday. We also had, once again, the red flag warnings that were in place. So strong winds continue today in Florida as devastating wildfires continue to burn, and so far at least 25 people have been killed. You'll notice the new analysis there, the satellite images, all of that showing that fire may have ignited near the burn scar from a blaze earlier this month. And yeah, once again, newly released video of the Eaton fires, the flames near an electrical tire might be a clue as to why there's been so power outages as well. So unfortunately, not looking at anything significant in the way of rainfall there over there in California.
Yeah, literally the complete opposite of last winter on the West Coast when they were dealing with too much rain. Can't really buy any rain there across Southern California so far this winter. Let's take you all the way through Thursday. Notice LA, San Diego, Palm Springs. Yeah, they are all just bone dry. Could try to get a little low-level moisture trying to sneak into Southern California. That would mainly be maybe some low clouds and fog that could help. But as far as any beneficial rain chances, look at LA. All the way through the middle and end of next week. It is a bone dry forecast there. So any firefighting efforts not going to get helped by Mother Nature, although the wind, thankfully, going to be likely less of an issue, at least a little bit, as we head through the weekend.
Yeah, that wind's supposed to cut down in half when it comes to those gusts as we go through next week, and hopefully we can keep it that way. Let's continue our coast to coast and go to the southwest. It's basically just a few fair weather clouds. That's the story over there as you look across portions of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Yeah, not much happening and a lot of warmth still continuing as you go into your Thursday.
Yeah, there's those temperatures, 60s there across Texas, where they were also dealing with ice and snow last week, flipping the switch and back into at least a temporary mild pattern, but they too are going to be getting back into the cold and winter weather potential heading into next week. Let's take you to the upper Midwest. Some snow showers, especially across Ohio, western Pennsylvania, upstate New York, associated with the latest round of cold air that is blowing in here as well. Otherwise, it's just kind of clear and kind of cold, but not terribly cold, at least not yet.
Yeah, especially with what they've been dealing with this week. They're talking about temperatures in the 20s and 30s. I think they'll take that. You'll notice over there in Indiana, 34 degrees there in Indianapolis. Let's go ahead and take you, though, to Chicago, where we're talking about the forecast turning colder. And there's the sign of that Arctic air that we're giving the first alert to next week. How about sub-zero temperatures coming in as we go into Sunday and Monday?
That's impressive. Even more impressive to me is 6.
Yeah, for the high.
Just 6 sad, lonely degrees for a high temperature heading into next Monday. And as you mentioned, that is the cold air that's going to be moving into the deep south, setting the potential stage for our winter weather next week. Obviously, it arrives there first, heading into the early part of the week with a mighty cold forecast. Up to the northeast we go, and dealing with some more lake effect snow. That has been a common theme so far this month. Erie, Johnstown, Buffalo, Rochester, the Q's, as they call it, dealing with the snow showers. Could even get a flurry or two all the way down into New York City.
Yeah, some areas up there dealing with lake effect snow for 9 days straight. So imagine that. Obviously, the cold still settling in there up in the northeast. You'll notice temperatures 25 in Buffalo, 26 in Syracuse. I say cold for them. That's doable here. 28 in Albany. And you'll notice as you work closer down to D.C., it's 35 degrees as we go into the forecast there. Let's take it to New York City. The forecast, once again, going to be turning colder. Keep in mind, though, that Arctic air typically on the northeast has to work its way through and then starts to pivot its way up. So they'll actually turn even colder as they head in toward the end of next week.
Yeah, some mighty cold air up there still. Even New York City likely to get down into the single digits as we head into early next week. High temperatures only into the teens to right around 20. Could have a little wintry mix around there, especially Saturday night into Sunday. Here closer to home, we'll take you into the southeast. Little system scraping by well to our south, giving some clouds. Couple of showers down there across Florida. Otherwise, we are high and dry here with high pressure and control. That gives us the clear and cold weather tonight. And then a little bit of a slow moderating trend heading into tomorrow, where we do at least manage to crack back into the 50s.
Yeah, certainly dealing with the 50s. 55 degrees in Myrtle Beach, 62 in St. Augustine, and how about down in Orlando, 66. They had the 70s earlier, and they'll get the 70s back in before that next Arctic blast tries to work its way all the way down to the Sunshine State.
And speaking of Arctic blast and snowflakes, let's talk about Weather Workshop here, and a lot of different types of snow, all dependent on different conditions in the atmosphere. Same thing with all the different types of winter precipitation. We've got meteorologist Matt Bullock breaking that down for us.
Not all snowflakes are the same. Experts believe that there's 35 different types of snowflakes. It all begins in the atmospheric layer called the dendritic zone. And this zone is located 5,000 feet above the Earth's surface. And that's when we start to see that snow growth. Now, as I mentioned, there's 35 different types of snowflakes, but we're going to break them down into 5 categories. And talk about those 5 categories, we had the thin plates, we had the needles, we had the Holland columns, the stellar plates, and the dendrites. And this is all depending on the temperature. So if the temperature is between 25 to 32, we start to see these thin plates, and very thin snowflakes kind of just smushed together, kind of similar to sleet. As the temperature starts to drop down to 21 to 25, we start to see these needles falling down as snowflakes. And then as the temperatures continue to drop, 14 to 21, we start to see those Holland columns. Then by 10 to 14 degrees, we start to see the stellar plates to develop. And then as the temperatures drop down to 3 to 10 degrees, again, this is 5,000 feet above the surface, we start to see those dendrites. And the dendrites are the really pretty snowflakes, that fluffy snow that we all love. But again, with all these different types of snowflakes, this all depends on the temperatures. So next time you're out, whenever we see snow, whenever that happens, if you have a black jacket and you're standing outside for quite some time, you can see the different types of snowflakes onto your jacket. Matt Bullock, WNBF News.
Matty B coming in with one heck of a graphic on that.
I love that graphic for
good.
sure. Also, too, that doesn't even dictate wet or dry snow. Granted, your temperatures do, but yeah, there's different shapes for every type of snowflake.
And what we normally see around here, because our temperatures aren't usually insanely cold while it snows, is sort of a combination and aggregate, as we call it. So you actually get a bunch of those different snowflakes kind of clumped together. That's when you get those really big fat snowflakes. It's actually individual snowflakes clumped together.
I would love to see some snow in this area, especially for our See It, Snap It, Send It segment. Let's go ahead and show you non-snow, at least for now. How about once again, as we show you what we were looking at, we're talking about some of the rain and at least some winter precip, some sleet. This was from last week. Of course, you'll notice they're coming in from Joseph. You know you're in South Carolina when you have to squint and look at the snowman or the sleet man on the roof.
Who built a sleep man on the roof? That is my kind of winter weather fan. Joseph, man, congrats to you. Look at that.
Get up there with the ladder, scoop it together.
Scoop it up. Yeah, oh, I love it.
That's dedication. Let's continue to take you here as we go into, what was this? Was this the full moon that just recently happened?
Yeah.
The wolf moon coming in. How about this? You can send your photos there and you'll notice some of those fair weather clouds continuing to roll through, and you can even see the moon illuminating the night. Beautiful. I love if you ever go out. What?
That optic phenomenon.
The moon ring?
Yeah, well, it's not really a ring.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Irradiance.
Oh.
Yeah, where it almost looks like a rainbow around the moon. Irradiance.
Yeah. You can get that around the sun, too.
You can.
As well.
Don't look up at it, though, if it's around the sun. It's a lot easier to look at it around the moon. Speaking of the moon and the sun and some clouds, let's bring something back.
Let's do it. I can't wait. Yeah, let's talk about your sunrise forecast once again. If you're heading out for the sunrise, I think we'll hold on to a few fair weather clouds, but Should be a nice one for tomorrow, so get out there. It'll also be a cold one for that sunrise forecast as we head into the forecast for tomorrow. And once again, if you see it, you snap it. You could send it to us. You could scan the QR code. WNBF First Alert Weather app is the place to go for that. Go all the way to the bottom of the WNBF First Alert Weather app and send us your photos. And who knows, maybe you'll see them here on Whether or Not or WNBF News, one of those evenings or mornings that you're watching.
Yeah, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to have a fun show tomorrow.
Yeah, special look ahead.
Yeah, a special look ahead tomorrow. We're going to break down not only the models, kind of like you're used to seeing, but we're going to take a really deep dive. We're going to get into ensembles, blends.
For me, I'm excited. For them, they're like, we'll see.
Yeah,
if you're a winter weather
this is
fan,
the show. Yeah,
this
if
is
you're
the
a
show
weather
for you.
geek, tomorrow's show will definitely be one for you. As again, we continue to look ahead into next week, and that winter weather potential will be taking a serious deep dive into the models. Model Mania on the way tomorrow.
Can't wait for now. We'll warm up as we head into the weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Whether or Not.